My biggest fear in business is going under. Never sell garments like that ever again. We sold to like 50% of our audience. That doesn't happen. This will be the biggest challenge we'll ever run into. If we can overcome, then we've overcome essentially the world. Jack, it's our 101st episode today. It's our first time filming in 3 months. How do you feel back on the potty mic?
I feel good. Yeah, I was excited for today. It's been 3 months, as you said, and there's been so much going on, and the potty hasn't really been a focus for us, but it's something I love. Like, I loved all of the potty episodes we did last year, and there's something about getting on and talking about what we're going through and where we're going that's really, I think, energizing for both of us. And yeah, so I'm stoked to be back, Jess. How about you?
Exact same, man. And I think our audience is probably wondering why we went quiet for so long, and we're definitely going to dive into that today. There's so much to talk about. So I think we need to start there to give them the clarity of why we took a back step, what we had to focus on. I think it all actually started with Boxing Day.
Yeah. So the last time we sat down and spoke would have been just before Boxing Day last year.
Yep.
End of December. And that was an episode about, I suppose, the goals that we set for last year and going over all of those and a bit of a yearly recap. And our audience probably wouldn't have seen it maybe in our episode, but we were really in the middle of like a pretty turbulent time in the business, to say the least.
The most turbulent time we've ever.
Probably the most. Up there with the very start, I reckon. It was a very similar feeling to that. And essentially what that was is our backs were up against the wall financially. We just brought in our biggest shipment ever.
Break that down for the listener, because we're buying sort of 3 months ahead. So we really have to forecast. We're buying extra garments at, months and months in advance in the hope that we'll be able to sell those and we're on track. I mean, this is your side of the business. Explain it. Yeah.
So I suppose my hardest job is exactly that, is trying to think 3-4 months ahead based off not much data of how much we think we're going to sell, how much we're going to need, what's like reasonable, but what's enough to give ourselves a shot to grow.
That's probably the key word there, reasonable, right?
Well, I mean, I could argue it was reasonable.
I'd argue it was reasonable too.
Yeah. So essentially what happened is I put down a purchase order for 15,000 garments would have been like July or August. And that was going to arrive in November. It ended up arriving in December. But essentially what had happened throughout literally a month or two leading up to that shipment is we probably lost four pretty big customers of ours.
Honestly, probably almost 70% of our entire revenue. Something be close to that.
Maybe a bit less than that, but
maybe like 60, but it was like so drastic. And it was, I don't think it wasn't really what we did wrong. Like, I don't sit here kicking myself like, oh, we lost pretty much our 4 biggest clients. To be honest, it was just natural progression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like a lot of those businesses and brands went overseas. Like, they basically got to a point where they thought it was best, if they go and do it themselves, cut and sew themselves. So, and we fully realize that that's part of the game. That's something we knew coming into it. So yeah, well said. I think we weren't so much kicking ourselves from like, we fucked up, but it was more shit. Maybe we're not targeting, or we're relying too much on the wrong type of customer. And so that probably kicked us into gear in a lot of other ways.
Yeah. It was full back to square one. I vividly remember, because this is Jack's side of the business. So he'd been dealing with it, and I was somewhat in the dark, and Jack was somewhat keeping me in the dark, because I get extremely stressed out. If you listen to the first 100 episodes, you probably picked that up. That stuff can really sort of deviate my everyday productivity, I would say. So you were wise enough to keep it pretty under wraps, but then I would read DMs, I'd read emails, and I'd start to sense like, we've just lost, 60% of our total revenue in terms of clients. And we have our biggest shipment coming in, which we haven't fully paid for. In fact, we've paid for 10, 20% of it.
Yeah.
And we needed to come up with, was it it was 50 grand. As I
it's a bit
remember
more than that. Yeah.
70 grand. It was a fucking lot of money.
Shipment was worth about $200,000 all up.
Right.
Yeah.
And we had to come up with paying half of it.
Yeah, by a certain date. Yeah, so essentially we found ourselves in the spot of like, fuck, we definitely knew we'd lost a couple customers, and then some others we just had a feeling like they were doing their own thing, going elsewhere. And the shipment landed in the middle of December, which is the hardest time to sell and move product because everyone's about to go on holidays. It's Christmas time.
Everyone's knocking off.
Everyone's just done with the year. So we definitely learned that the hard way too. Probably won't be bringing in another shipment that time of year. Saying that, it was delayed. It was delayed about a month, which didn't help. But yeah, so we had to come up with, I think it was like about $100,000 that we didn't really have in about a month's time, like the start of Jan.
So let's explain that to people, like what that looks like and the stress that was endured. So like you were probably on, how many phone calls were you on a day?
Oh,
in that month?
Too many.
On average, what would you say?
Per day?
Yeah.
I got close to 20 maybe. Yeah.
20 different people.
Yeah.
We're cold calling, we're DMing. Yeah. We were just digging the bottom of the barrel because it was so, I'll tell you what we did at retail. This is where it comes to my side of the business. So Jack told me, we're short and we need to make money quickly. And again, he was trying to keep me calm, but I was just like, there's only one way I know how to make money fast in a clothing business, and that's by going on sale. So I run the retail part of this brand. Jack does the wholesale. So Boxing Day sales are historically a really big thing. In Australia and England, it's not really big anywhere else in the world. I've done some research, but for whatever reason, it's big here in Australia. And I knew we had to go on sale, but I was torn because we'd never gone on sale. And me personally, I don't like to go on sale often or ever. I think it tarnishes your brand's reputation, especially early on when you're forging that reputation, you're trying to build your goodwill. It's really, you can shoot yourself in the foot by going on sale. So, because that's what's setting the tempo of your brand. But we had no choice. So I said to Jack, we're going to do a drastic sale. This isn't 10, 20% off. Like we're going 50% off. We got to just create such a fucking good sale that people look at it and just go, I have to buy something. And thankfully it worked. So we sold over 1,500 garments in our sale. Look, we made fuck all margin on them. Like, to be honest, I think garments were $50 a hoodie. Like we're barely making
crazy prices. Yeah.
We'll never sell garments like that ever again.
No,
but we had to. We're like year one of operation and our backs was truly against the wall. Like it was funny, Jack, because I haven't spoke to you too much about this directly because it's so sensitive, but I'm happy to talk about it here, is especially because we've overcome it. It's a lot easier. But I wasn't mad at you. I couldn't be, because you used that word before, reasonable. Because Jack was the one that bought those 15,000 garments. It was reasonable with the information Jack had in July when you purchased it. I would have done the same thing. So I couldn't be angry at you at all. And there's even if, there's never any point being angry. It's not productive. It's not going to get us anywhere. But I was just so like, this is our baby. You know what I mean? And the fact
you were pretty frazzled. You were shocked. Yeah.
I was just, my biggest fear in business is going under. Like I think it's the embarrassment. I think it's a whole host of things that I've never probably fully unpacked, but it's what drives me as well. Like that's my biggest driver. And I've learned through a lot of podcasts, a lot of successful people are driven by failure, not
fear.
Success. By fear. It's the key word. And it's certainly like me. I'm so fucking scared of going under. So you fully lit that in me. I was like, I don't know what we have to do to make this money. But this actually also ties into Henry and him being a saving fucking grace. And so for those that don't know, we also lost a lot of staff during this time where we had to make this money. So we had a lot of staff issues.
Yeah. Yep.
Which didn't make things any easier.
Yeah. End of last year. Yeah. Well, we had Tommy was on board.
Tom was on board.
End of last year. He would have left.
We'll get to Tom.
We'll get to Tom
later in this podcast.
Who else? We didn't have anyone else on board. It was me, you, and Tom. Me, you, Tom. Henry was part-time.
Yeah. And
Dig wasn't
Dig had left in November.
Yeah, no, we've covered that.
So yeah, we spoke about that. I mean, we had an episode with Dig on. For those who haven't heard, Dig was our last videographer.
Yeah.
Awesome kid. Came out here at 19.
Yeah.
To live out his dream.
Now.
Yeah, and shout out to Dig. Yep. It's only right that we bring him up enough this year. Anyway, to just get back to it real quick, is Henry was pivotal because we shot some campaigns to build up this Boxing Day sale, and shout out to Henry. The quality of the campaigns were awesome. Some of the best work we've done. And as I said, the rest is history. We sold 1,500 units, which is insane. Like, I've been in clothing 6 years, and that's some of the most amount of units I've ever sold. And we had like 3,000 followers. We sold to like 50% of our audience, which is insane. That doesn't happen. So anyway, I want to move forward from that. I want to put that chapter behind us, but I think it was only right we spoke about it in complete clarity and transparency to our audience. And to be honest, this answers why we moved away from the podcast for the first 3 months, because we had a lot of work to do.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I think year one's always going to throw a lot at you. And when you're trying to grow quickly and move like we are, and you can find yourself in tricky positions. But I think we know that like if we were just comfortable the whole time, then we're probably doing things wrong as well at the same. So cool. Let's move past that. Henry, let's get to then the new year. So we've overcome that. We made the deadline for the payment. Boxing Day helped a lot with that. And then we're here. We're still alive. It's year 2. Thank fuck.
It's good to be back.
And I suppose just a lot wiser for going through what we went through in year 1. So much happened, and refreshed as well. Like a bit of relief, obviously. I'm sure we would have found a way no matter what happened, but we found a way, and we're here in year 2. And looking to, I suppose, bolster up the team is probably the first priority that we have. And so Henry comes into that. So let's maybe dive into Henry a little bit too. I suppose someone that fills in a lot of the gaps that me and you have, maybe in our skill sets, experience. So we really felt like we were missing, a really key piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And Henry is really felt to us like that person that's really filled those holes.
We call him the Swiss Army knife around here, that he does everything. And we're so grateful to have someone that's so talented in 5 or 6 key areas. And funnily enough, the areas are also where Jack and I are quite weak. So he's come on and just been a revelation. And we're proud to announce that within the last fortnight, he's actually come on full time. He's committed to coming on full time and actually coming with us overseas, which we'll also speak about. Our trip to Europe. There's a lot to cover there. So yeah, we just want to quickly give Henry his flowers and definitely not overlook how important he was in the last part of 2023 and how pivotal he's been in our success for the start of this year. Yeah.
It's funny how people and events come into your life at the right times. And it feels like Henry was definitely one of those people. He seemed to just come in when we needed him most. And now he's turned out to be a really valuable asset for us moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been awesome. And if you could, Jack, could you talk about the success we've had in the start of this year? Compare it to last year.
Yeah. So coming into this year, it's been a lot easier from like a clarity perspective on like what we're doing, what we're about, what our product is, who our market is. So for me personally, having a year of data has helped so much. And we've got the most stock that we've ever had on hand, which is the game for us at wholesale anyway, because we can't sell if we don't have stock. So it's been cool to see, that'll play out, I suppose, how we kind of envisioned it and how we thought it would. And we've sold, so we brought in 15,000 garments in December, and we've basically sold out of all those now, and it's March. So to put that in context, we sold about 22,000 garments all of last year. And so we've sold about 15,000 this year in the first 3 months.
It's insane.
So things are moving quick, which comes with challenges. And the nature of this business is we're always being put in a similar spot with having to increase quantity and try to meet bigger orders and work with bigger customers. So we're putting some plans in to try to address those moving forward. But yeah, I think Jesse, just like another 3 months under our belts, like we're learning so much each and every day. And, every day that goes by and we stick around and, we do what we do, I get a little bit more confident.
Me too. And, I think a message for those young creatives listening right now is be aware of that fire in the first year. Know that it's going to be turbulent and embrace that is what I'm trying to really get across, because I think with us, it was, that Boxing Day madness and the money we had to make, else the business was going to look at a really dire future. So embrace the hardship and know that once you overcome some of those barriers, you start skiing downhill a little bit. I feel like we've been working really hard this year, but probably not any harder than last year in a sense. The work ethic stays the same, but as I said, you start going downhill a little bit. You get a bit more momentum. Things get a little easier the longer you stay at it. You get wiser. So for those that are out there, just keep chipping away. It'll come.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe we should dive into some things that we wanted to focus on coming into this year.
Definitely.
That might help others out there with, what maybe year 2 looks like compared to year 1 and what we knew we had to do to take it to the next level again, I suppose. So for us, that probably comes a lot around structure and being a bit more professional in how we go about things.
Absolutely.
Whether that's all coming in together on certain days, whether that's sitting down for weekly meetings, and I suppose just, becoming more regimented in what we do. And now we know what works, having a year under our belt. So that's a lot easier to do than say year 1. Like I probably wouldn't be trying to do this in year 1 because you just have to be so malleable and flexible. But yeah, so for us, we're looking a lot into, ads and trying to get our online digital marketing presence up and running, sales process, new website, software, trying to automate things. Like there's a lot of bottlenecks with how many people we're having hit us up and demand. And, me definitely at wholesale, I'm struggling to keep up with it all at the minute. So just trying to put in things to, I suppose, free up our time as well.
Yeah, and from a retail perspective, we've just been sampling a shitload. We're looking at bringing in a lot of new product range. Sampling's been key, and that's been exciting. It's tedious. It's certainly a new role for me this year. That talking to suppliers is intense. Hence why we exist, right? So we can alleviate some of those issues with clear communication and solid marketing. So yeah, Jack, this year's been a lot of more of the same, but also building on last year.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So much to build on and so much to do moving forward. There feels like the goalposts shift.
I think we should shift towards Tommy. So those that know the podcast would have seen Tom on a lot last year, and Tom's an owner of Carl Plain. He's the third owner here, and it was another roller coaster kind of experience. So Tom's our best friend, and he came on to work with us full time. He was delisted from the Collingwood Football Club in the AFL there, and we went, cool, Tom, come work with us full time. Let's build together. And Tom was on board, and then he just got the itch for his first love, which is basketball.
Yeah, Tommy told us he was going to go and explore basketball again, which came as probably a bit of a shock to me and you because we thought he was really buying in and keen to move forward. And but Tommy's a brother to us, and when someone tells you this is what they want to do and you love and care about them, like all you want is that for them. So that was how me and Jess felt about Tommy, but obviously put us back in a little bit of a place of like, fuck, we got to go now, find someone else or figure out what we were going to be lacking now that Tom's moved on. So I think we're figuring that out at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, people's the hardest thing in business. Like trying to find people that believe in what you believe in. As crazy as Jesse and I are, there's probably not too many people out there that fully buy in. And so I think, finding those people is very difficult. And That's no different with the best friend too. Like they're all going to want things differently, and that's just what it was.
And I know we've been speaking a lot about chemistry in our team, Jack, and the way we look at it. And I think it's very helpful for those listening is you have a diamond, a spade, you have a heart and a
Club.
So I think your diamond is your guy or girl that's good with money.
I don't know this analogy, but
I'm just going to back us in.
All right.
I heard this on a podcast. It's pretty simple, but I'll probably butcher it, but stay with me. I think we'll get there. So diamond is the person in your company that's really good with money.
Uh-huh.
They think numbers, diamonds being value. So they're great at that. Clubs and spades, I'm going to get those mixed up. But one of them, I think it's spades. They're the hard workers, the people that implement.
Mm-hmm.
And heart is the visionary, the person that like lives and breathes the brand. They love, the energy of it all, and they get people excited, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're like the lifeblood of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, clubs, I forget. So I will do a little bit of research on that. I think we're trying to find it. But anyway, long story short, I should have just said this because probably have to.
This is where me and Jesse are so different. I would never talk on anything that I'm not 100% on. Never.
I only talk about things I'm not certain of. To be fair,
I have heard it, but
yeah. To be fair, I heard it like yesterday, so I should probably recite it. But anyway, Jack, where I'm going with this is you need to know your strengths. We spoke a lot about this, but it's the reason we do is it's so important. You need to know your strengths and you need to couple those with other strengths. And if you can do that, I mean, you and I speak about this a lot. You're incredible with numbers. You have an accounting degree. You're great at thinking big. You think long. You're sensible. You're great with just
keep going.
Oh, well, I'm going to stop now. Where like I'm a bit more, I don't like I guess erratic, but fast paced. Creative. And I get to results quickly.
Think outside the box probably a bit more.
Think outside the box a bit more. So
we said it yesterday, you're more grey area, I'm more black and white.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you couple those two things together and you get some fucking good results, to be honest. And then we throw Henry in, who's, someone who's great at implementing a lot of what we're not.
It's probably a mix of both, I would say.
And a mixture of both of us.
Yeah.
So I think we're both proud of the team we're building.
Yep.
It feels now more than ever, to be honest, in our gut instinct that this is the team that's going to take us forward.
Yeah.
And that's probably a great segue into Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. So looking ahead to this year, we've got some, as we always do, we have some big goals, big audacious goals. And
every year.
That's why we put ourselves in pickles every now and then. But wouldn't have it any other way. And this year, I suppose that looks like a trip to Europe. It's going to be for 3 months initially. But for some context, like Jesse and I, starting this business, we've always wanted to think big and branch outside of Australia where we live. We've both traveled a lot overseas, and we've seen just how big and exciting things can be overseas in a different setting. And that, really here in Australia, in terms of clothing and retail, it's a very, very small part of the world. So with that said, I guess Europe's been on the cards for a little bit. And this year we felt like we were ready to, go over there and test some things and just have a look and soak it all in too.
And I want to kind of interject there, Jack, because I don't think we're ready, but I don't think we'll ever be ready.
Correct.
So it's tough. This will be the biggest challenge we'll ever run into. And it's like, if we can overcome Europe, then we've overcome essentially the world, literally. So I don't know what I mean by overcome, but if we can like meet, if we can, what am I trying to say here, Jack?
well, maybe what's our goals and focuses for Europe? Like, why are we going? Maybe that's a good place to start.
Absolutely. I mean, off the bat, we know that the market is significantly bigger. So we want to make a dent at both wholesale and retail. Currently at wholesale, there is some really strong businesses over there, Stanley and Stella, Bella and Canvas, to name a few. And it's going to be it'll be more competitive over there than it is here. So we're going to have to come in with our best.
Yeah, I think the Europe trip, it's not like a trip where we have to do this and there's all this pressure on like getting things going and cracking from day one. It's very the opposite, because we know, especially at wholesale, things take a lot of time and it's all relationships and that stuff takes years. You know, a lot of it similar to what we've done here. Really, it's taken us 2-3 years to build what we have, and we know Europe's going to be no different. But we think planting those seeds, the earlier we can plant those seeds, the better.
And you hit the nail on the absolute head. It's relationships. That would be the main reason we're going, is just to build as many relationships with factories, with fashion creatives, with any stakeholder in the industry. And we'll be going to dinners, we'll be going to coffees, we'll be running around like headless chooks just to show who we are, hand samples around.
Hopefully get some good people on this podcast as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Creatives over there.
And bring the podcast to Europe, which we're really excited to do.
Yeah.
And Henry will be with us in that pursuit.
Yep. Yeah, so I think that's like the big North Star for us at the moment this year that we're gearing up for and really, really excited about.
So we're planting seeds for the 3-month trip in hope to come back next year, 2025, for Europe.
Yeah, the time is to be determined, I think, but the intention is that we might even go over and live in Europe, more specifically London, for a few years. We feel like putting our boots on the ground is the best way to go over and plant seeds, and it's all good to think about things from afar and plant seeds afar. But we both know that there's nothing that comes close to face and actually living something in real life. So
business is just good people, and the best interactions you have with people are face to face. It's simple as that. So that's what we've learned here in Australia. That's why we've got to work with some incredible screen printers and companies, and every single big company we've ever worked with has been off the back of physical interactions. You know, hasn't been many Zoom calls, or it's been lots of coffees, lots of chatting the shit. So that's what we'll be doing in the UK and all around Europe.
Yeah. I think also just to add on that is there's definitely a selfish motive for going over as well. Like Jesse and I, the team's all 26. We're young. We haven't really done Europe. We love travel. So it's a great, like for all you guys out there starting a business, or like this is one of the massive perks of running your own thing, is like you can use it to travel the world and see the world. And I think that's just an incredible opportunity that we have in today's world that, you know, our parents probably couldn't speak of. And so, yeah, definitely something to think about if that's what, you know, fills your cup.
Absolutely.
And, yeah, look to use it to travel and get overseas as well. Yeah, so Jess, as well as Europe, we're also focusing a lot on retail and putting a lot of eggs into that basket this year. Probably didn't receive so much time and love that we wanted it to, with wholesale just being so time consuming last year. So maybe talk us through the retail side a little bit.
Absolutely. As you said, last year, our 4 retail drops were the same 2 products, 3 products. We had crew necks, hoodies and T-shirts. So it was a pretty bland range. You know, they're great quality garments. We love them. You know, we're wearing them today. Like there's nothing wrong with them. It's just, as a creative, we want to explore, and we want to explore all types of blanks, from things like singlets to hats to tote bags to the list goes on. You know, we want to just keep exploring, and not in that exploration, we want to upgrade the quality of these garments. We find things like singlets on the market. There isn't really any high quality singlets that are at a reasonable price. And we're really excited to, I keep using this word explore, but I guess bring out blanks that we think are elevating what's already on the market. So as you said, that's a huge part of this year. People are going to see in our upcoming campaigns that are coming out throughout April, May, lots of different products. You know, I've named a few already. I won't give too many more away, but yeah. And then I think with that retail side, it's also the marketing and how we're looking at going beyond just the product. I think for us, Jack, we want to be known as the People's Blanks brand. We love people. You're on the phone to all different types of people every day. We had the everyday T-shirt photo shoot. So for those that don't know and those that know, we did a everyday tee, which is like a really standardized T-shirt. You know, sleeves aren't quite drop shoulder. The neck's not too tight fitting. The material is about 180 GSM. Super standardized t-shirt, a real timeless classic tee, right? And we released that at retail, and we thought we'd throw an event with all types of everyday people, because if we're creating an everyday t-shirt, it should probably fit on everyday people. So that's what we did. We had about 150 people through the door, all types of people from 10-year-old kids through to, pretty sure I saw a grandma there. Might have been your grandma, Jack. It wasn't mine. I don't think it was ours. Anyway, but we had all sorts of people come through the door. It was it was probably the best day we've had as a company.
Up there.
It's up there.
Yeah, definitely
top three.
up there.
Top three.
It was a crazy day. Like we were running around with our heads cut off.
It was awesome. It was really, really cool. And it was our first proper public event.
First proper event. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that in itself is something we'll never forget.
Yeah.
And
I think it was just cool. It's always cool to see the love and support in person. Like we get it a lot through DMs or on the phone or in emails, and it's cool to actually see like a tangible
I couldn't agree anymore.
impact, you know, of what you're doing.
When you see 150 people, it's so different to the 150 DMs you might get, you know? Yeah. So yeah, we were stoked. That was a sick day.
Yeah, it was awesome.
That's the sign of things to come. You know, events for us are going to be big. There's no secret. If we're going to be the People's Blanks brand, we need to be getting around people. It's pretty simple, but complex at the same time. So yeah, lots of different products, pushing lots of different boundaries.
More frequent drops as well.
Far more frequent. You know, we'll be dropping 2 or 3 garments per drop, probably per month. So ideally. So that's going to be a lot of work. It is. You know, I broke my foot, so I've stopped running so I can work more. look at the positives. But anyway, that's
we also had we've been thinking a lot about brand as well recently. We had, you know, a big 2-3 hour chat, me, you and Henry yesterday, and it's probably more you and Henry who champion this side of the business, but thinking about our brand as a whole and how we want it to feel and appeal to people and what we want to stand for has been a massive focus this year too.
Yeah, for us, it's so much more than the garment. You know, I think for us, it's about, of course, high quality garments. We know the industry we're in, we have to come with that. But after we do that well, and that's A1, you know, we always prioritize the garment, and then we also, equally as important, prioritize people and their stories and connection. We think there's a lack in society of that. I won't go on a tangent there, but that's why we do public events. It's why we do a podcast for people to connect to. It's why we shoot all sorts of different models and things of that nature. So anyway, we'll leave that there because I don't want to talk too much. I want to act. I want people to see the retail shit.
Good. I like it.
How about wholesale?
I suppose, that branding chat's really helped, I think, with the businesses as a whole, including wholesale. Like just getting clearer on the overarching reason why we're doing what we're doing just helps. I mean, me personally, I know us as a business make so many decisions in all the little other things. So wholesale has been no different. I think, you know, even after our chat yesterday, a bit more clarity on who we're trying to serve and why, and that's really important. And as I alluded to earlier, like we've seen, you know, some really amazing results at wholesale, and it's growing super quick, which is awesome because, I mean, we entered because we knew there was a massive need, but we probably, you know, it's one thing thinking that and the other thing seeing it in real life. So I think we're starting to see it, which is exciting, but it also comes with its challenges, as we spoke about very early in this podcast as well. So I think my big focus moving forward with wholesale is just trying to make not only the products but the process a lot more seamless, and, you know, just provide a better service to the customers that we're trying to, I guess, you know, serve. So yeah.
Just quickly on the wholesale part of the business, it's a head scratcher every day for me, because one day we'll get a call from a chili oil company, and the next day is from a construction company. The day after that's from, you know,
big brand or something,
a charity. And I didn't even know this amount of industries existed.
It's nuts, yeah.
You know, like we're working with like the local wheelchair association to do their blanks, like, you know, doing incredible work out there, all the way through to the local bakery, all the way through to the, you know, the latest streetwear brands. It's insane how many businesses there are, and just how many. I think we're in this era of merchandise and uniform, because if you're on social media, which 99% of businesses are nowadays, there's not many that aren't. They want to wear their brand. It just makes sense, right? If you're going to put up a piece of content and you're going to wear a t-shirt, why wouldn't you wear your logo, right? It's just simple. So we've just come of age. We're very lucky to be in this time right now.
Good timing, yeah.
With social media.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I suppose with that, there's going to be a lot of changes and things that we'll fix and moving forward. And so, just if you're a wholesale customer of ours, keep your eyes and ears peeled to emails and all updates going out. There's going to be a lot of changes for the better, we think. So
absolutely,
keep your eyes on that. Otherwise, that's probably it, man. We're just taking it day by day and enjoying the journey, really.
Absolutely. It means a lot to come on here today to do this, because last year we were almost doing 3 episodes a week. So the podcast is in our DNA, and the feedback we've gotten since we haven't been doing it is, when's the next episode? Are you guys still doing them? People really took the value in, and it means a lot. It's a I'm kind of lost for words, to be honest, but it really does mean a shitload to us, and I can't wait to just keep giving more value. As we grow, we want everyone around us to grow too. Yeah,
it's cool to know that people still take a lot of value out of the podcast, even though we might not be thinking about it actively at the moment. And I think with the year ahead, there's going to be so many opportunities to either talk about our learnings as we navigate year 2, or get on some other really cool, interesting people, whether that's in Europe or here in Australia. So I think there's plenty more to come with the podcast this year.
I think a real fitting way to finish, Jack, is we had one guy DM us about the podcast today, and I asked him, did he want us to talk about anything in particular? And he wrote this really awesome message. I'm going to shout him out. I really liked it. Just going through the sea of DMs here. His name's Cooter House. It's a good Instagram name. I said, was there anything you wanted us to cover? And he just wrote to us. He said, don't forget to remind all the brothers out there hustling, getting the ball rolling this year, pumping out projects and growing, to smell the roses along the way and take a moment to be proud of themselves. Have a good day. Look after each other. And I appreciate the free value. That's why we do what we do.
Enough said. Signing off. Good to be back.
Good to be back.